Good evening and welcome. I'm Cory, Crowe. We're here at the Meet the Candidates Forum. We're live at West Monroe High School at the Edgewood building on West Monroe's campus. And tonight we're going to meet the candidates who are running for mayor of West Monroe. Our forum this evening is brought to you by the West Monroe West Ouachita Chamber of Commerce and 90.3 KEDM Public Radio, along with our media partners tonight, KTVE, KARD. Again, I'm Cory Crowe. I'll be your host this evening. I'm the News and Public Affairs Director at KEDM, the public radio station at the University of Louisiana Monroe. Now, today we're going to meet our candidates in just a moment. I need to remind you that this year's election is a little different. The folks we're going to meet tonight are running for mayor. Nothing changes. It's just like Louisiana elections have always been. However, there are some closed party primaries we'll talk about a little later, and we'll tell you a little more about that. Our candidates met before we started today. They got the ground rules for today, and it's time to meet our candidates. Our candidates tonight are Stacey Albritton Mitchell and Don Nance. We drew for who would have the first question tonight, and the first opening statement will begin with Ms. Mitchell, and you have 2 minutes for an opening statement.
Okay. Thank you. I want to say thanks to all who organized this event. Y'all know me. I grew up here in West Monroe, graduated West Monroe High School. I have a degree in economics from LSU. Moved home, went into business with my family, Albritton Photography. I eventually purchased that business from my parents and did that for 27 years. We've raised our kids here. Jay and I are both active in the community, and we're proud members at First Methodist Church in West Monroe. My record for mayor and as mayor speaks for itself. All you have to do is look around. You can see the investment in the improvements being made. And I am honored and proud to serve and help lead West Monroe to continue those successes. Y'all, we've maximized tax dollars, set aside funds, leveraged grant funding to do over $54 million worth of infrastructure projects that directly benefit the people. And this effective planning, this has allowed us to make big investments in sewer, drainage, streets, and public safety and water. Since becoming mayor, I've worked with both fire and police chiefs to bring their department salaries up to a competitive level and make sure they have what they need to continue to do their job. When police and fire came to City Council and asked for protected funding, I want to say that you, the public, responded and you supported that. And because of that, now we have dedicated funding for capital needs for fire and police. Even with this new funding for police and fire, the city residents and businesses in West Monroe enjoy the lowest property taxes in Ouachita Parish. And just to clarify, West Monroe only gets 2.99% of the sales tax that we all pay. And even with the Economic Development District, we have worked hard to keep West Monroe's sales tax lower than others across our region. Y'all, I'm proud. I'm honored to serve as mayor. Let's continue the successes of West Monroe together.
Thank you. That's Stacey Albritton Mitchell. Next, we'll move to Mr. Don Nance. Sir, 2 minutes for an opening statement.
I am Don Nance, and for 9 years of my life, I lived on the mission field as a missionary, operating feeding programs for poor children and sharing the gospel with them. That experience shaped who I am today, teaching me discipline, compassion, and how to serve others, putting their needs over my own. When I returned home to West Monroe, I went to work in the Public Works Department. I didn't start at the top. I worked my way up, eventually leading 2 departments. I also worked at the West Monroe Police Department as a Spanish translator. While working these 2 jobs in the afternoon, I built a business, and later on another business, working day and night to provide for my family and to build a better future. Today, I'm before you with no debt on my businesses, no debt on my home, and no debt on my vehicles. That, my friends, did not happen by accident. It took discipline, it took planning and accountability. And I believe our local government should be held to the same standards. But that's not the situation we have in our city today. We have $39.9 million in debt, and taxes have been raised in every possible way she could. Success, as my opponent claims, is not the feeling residents I've met with have. It's frustration. Frustration with roads that are in terrible condition, and frustration with the quality of our water, big debt, and higher taxes. We need a change. We need a new day. We need leadership that puts the people first, and that's exactly why I'm running for mayor.
Thank you, Mr. Nance. Now, we've heard from our candidates their opening statements. When we come back, we get into questions. This is the Meet the Candidates Forum, live in West Monroe. And welcome back. I'm Cory Crowe. This year's election is a little different. We're going to tell you about that in just a moment. But at this time, I'd like to welcome Chris Kelly. He's the president and CEO of the West Monroe, West Ouachita Chamber of Commerce. Chris?
Thanks, Cory. On behalf of the board and our staff, we are appreciative of both candidates being here tonight. We recognize the time that you're giving to serve and let the public be involved. We want to remind everybody that early voting is May 2nd through the 9th, and the election is on May 16th. For residents of the city of West Monroe, you can vote at the West Monroe Senior Center for early voting. If you're confused about your ballot at all, you can go to Go Vote, spelled the Louisiana way, and find out all information about your ballot. Cory?
All right. Now, I mentioned the mayor's race is the way Louisiana politics has always been. The voting happens exactly the same. I do want to mention that there is a closed party primary going on for a few of our different elections throughout the state. But in this race, there's two folks, and somebody's going to win in the first go on May 16th. Other races that are in the closed primary system will have runoff elections held if no one gets 50% in the first round. That will be another election on June 27th. Then the general elections in the fall on November 3rd. And the best thing to do, since it's really confusing, is go to the Go Vote website and find out what's on your ballot. You can put your name, your precinct number, and you'll find exactly what's on your ballot. Again, govote.com. All right, time to get into questions this evening. And we'll begin with our first question. We drew before we began the night. And Mr. Don Nance, you get the first question. Sir, what's the most encouraging thing you've seen while you've been out on the campaign trail?
Well, the people. The people are resilient. They're hardworking people. I love West Monroe, and the most valuable thing we have in this city is our family. And I know that's what everyone is working for, is for their family. A lot of hardworking people, and I was really encouraged on the campaign trail.
Thank you. Ms. Mitchell, the most encouraging thing you saw while you're out on the campaign trail?
Well, it's been the overwhelmingly positive support that I've received from the voters here in the city of West Monroe. I mean, it's evident. Look at this crowd tonight. There are more I Love West Monroe Mayor Stacy stickers than you can see. So thank you all for that. But it's the overwhelmingly support of the voters. It's the people donating their time and their money to the campaign, people calling and asking for signs and for their homes and for their businesses, and how they can support and be part of this success, be part of a winning team. That is just extremely humbling and very heartfelt.
Thank you. The next question goes to you, Ms. Mitchell. What are the major infrastructure needs right now in the city of West Monroe, and how do you address those?
Sure. Well, when I came in office 8 years ago, the major needs the city had was for sewer and for drainage. We immediately went to work getting, identifying projects, getting funding secured, and making sure that we could do these projects that would tremendously help the people, that live in the neighborhoods that flood, or making sure that we all have reliable sewer service. Now we have really turned, because we have all these projects funded and in the works, we are really focusing on streets and water. Some large water investments were made before I came in office, and we're continuing that. We have plans for a new water well out on Coleman Avenue. We have multiple street projects that we will see done this year. We've had multiple street projects done. Y'all, there are 89 miles of streets inside the city limits, and that runs about $1 million a mile. So to be good stewards of your tax dollars, we are leveraging grant funds and doing everything we can to make sure we can do more with what we have.
Thank you. Mr. Nance, major infrastructure needs in West Monroe, and how do you address them?
Well, most definitely it would be the streets and the quality of water. Under Mayor Norris, he maintained a general fund of about $6 million. Right now, we have a general fund of about $12 million. That's the taxpayers' money. There's no reason for it to be sitting around. I think right off the bat, we should take $4, maybe $5 million of that. We should start at the end of 7th Street, pave Trenton all the way down to the bridge. That's the taxpayers' money. $6 million general fund leaves us plenty of money for matching funds. So there's another $6 million that's sitting there year after year. We're not using it. I would put it to work paving streets and continue to look for grant money to help us paving streets.
Thank you. Ms. Mitchell, this question goes to you. Well, that one went to you first. Let's go back to Mr. Nance. What in your education, sir, or your education, your work experience, your life experiences makes you the best candidate for mayor?
Well, I built businesses long before I went to the mission field. I built a business in Florence, Alabama, 35 years ago that's still open today. 25 years ago, I went to the mission field. Those feeding programs are still open today. I have 2 successful businesses right here in West Monroe. One I started in the height of COVID. People said it couldn't be done. I leased a building that was empty. I made something out of it. It is a very successful business. My other business, Don Nance Properties, I have bought numerous properties here in the city limits that were vacant properties, remodeled them into beautiful homes, and I believe that experience is what would make me a great mayor.
Thank you, sir. Ms. Mitchell, we'll go back to you. What in your education, your work, your life experiences makes you the best candidate for mayor?
Well, first, I grew up in small business. My parents instilled in me good hard work ethics, financial, being good use of your money, being efficient and effective with your money, and going above and beyond, always doing more than what's asked or expected of you. I have a degree in economics from LSU. That right there teaches good business practices, how to be a forecaster, how to look at the future, how to see what's coming, how to prepare, and how to plan for that. My 8 years, or actually 7 years, of serving as alderman for the city of West Monroe gave me insight into what it would be to run for mayor. And with the public's encouragement, they kept encouraging me to run for mayor. I chose to do so in 2018. Now I have 8 years behind me. You can look around and see the success. You can see what is done. We have saved money into our fund balance, as Mr. Nance says, but that is intentional. That is so we have grant match money to be able to do more projects and get more done with the money that we have.
Thank you. We'll come back to you, Mrs. Mitchell. Jobs are a must for a vibrant economy in West Monroe. What steps would you take to try to attract more jobs to the city?
Well, we're going to do what we do every day. We're going to make sure that West Monroe is the place that businesses and people want to be. That means making sure we have the infrastructure to support the businesses. That means working with other agencies that do workforce training, being part of the chamber, being part of NELAMAC, all of that. But really and truly, it's making this a place where businesses want to be. Y'all, right now, we have 10 commercial buildings under construction inside the city of West Monroe. That's millions of dollars being invested, jobs being created. Businesses don't come to places that are not prosperous and doing good. They come to strong communities, successful communities, and they're investing in West Monroe.
Thank you. Mr. Nance, jobs a must for a vibrant economy. What steps do you take to attract more jobs to the city?
Well, it's also an economic development answer. What I think our city needs is private investment. We've went out on a limb and borrowed money in taxpayers' name, and just this year we paid $2.2 million against that loan. That was money we can't spend on streets. If we have private investment, such as in the big field that's left beside the sports complex, if we made a long-term lease with private investors, they built businesses, shopping, different types of business out there. We're not investing any money. Private investors are investing that money, and that brings jobs, and it's a win-win for the citizens. Sales tax revenue comes in, and people get jobs.
Thank you, sir. The city of West Monroe is a lot smaller than I think people actually know. And so, Ms. Mitchell, I want to ask you, is there, or actually let's go to Mr. Nance first, is there areas you would like to annex into the city, or is West Monroe the right size?
West Monroe has a very, very curious lines, and that is, I understand in the state of Louisiana, the people that would be annexed would have to agree to that. I grew up in Charlotte, North Carolina. When they wanted to, they just took it in. Of course, you have a question of water lines, sewer lines, increasing the garbage service, increasing the police. So it's a good topic, and I really think I'm not really in favor of annexing and bringing more in, because you have to have more water lines, more sewer lines, more police, more fire, and I would not be partial to that.
All right. I'll ask you, Mrs. Mitchell, annexing other areas into the city of West Monroe for growth, or is that an idea you wouldn't touch?
Well, it is the question that I probably get asked most of the time from people is, why can't we see the city limits bigger? Because we are small geographically. We're 13,000 people. We serve a daily population of 35 to 40,000. Everyone that lives on the west side of the river considers themselves from West Monroe. Everyone on the west side of the river enjoys the services and the amenities that we provide. And to continue to be able to provide these services and amenities, we do need a bigger tax base. We do, done strategically, done correctly, you can increase the city limits to where it makes sense, because they are very jagged. Sometimes you don't know if you're in the city limits or not. In fact, most people probably don't know most of the time. So it done right, it could benefit the entire side of the west, or the entire west side of Ouachita Parish, the west side of the river. So,
all right, thank you. One more, and then we'll get to a break. Mrs. Mitchell, I want to ask you about term limits. Should mayors be term limited? And then a second question, should there be an age limit for lawmakers?
Okay, so that's a legislative question. That goes to state government, obviously. I'm assuming that's what you're talking about. Oh, goodness, Cory.
Term limits.
Term limits, that's first. Every 4 years is a term limit. I mean, that's all an elected official is guaranteed. And as you've seen, I've been here 8 years. We've got momentum going. We've got things going. It takes a little while in government. It is slower than private business to get things done and to get things going. There is a point that, yes, I think someone has served their time, done well, and that it needs to move on to, a new person. I don't know what that term, limit would be. I think it just really depends on the person. But that's why voting is so important. That's why community participation is so important. If you're not happy with what's going on, get out and vote. If you're happy, get out and vote to keep the person.
All right, Mr. Nance, term limits, and then just a second question, age limits for lawmakers.
Most definitely term limits. Our last mayor was in office for 40 years. Ms. Albritton has served 2 terms as a council person. She served 2 terms as mayor. You know, I don't know why West Monroe should continue to be accustomed to career politicians. At some point in time, we need to move on and give other people a chance and an opportunity. And age limits, I would say yes, sir, there's a certain age. I have a lot of friends that are up in age, and, you know, I hear the same stories repeatedly in the same sitting, so I don't think, you know, I love them, but at some point, yes, we should have an age limit.
All right, one more before we take our next break, and it goes to you, Mr. Nance. As demand is growing, we're seeing more larger users of infrastructure, electricity, water, all of that. How should the city plan without overextending its infrastructure?
How should the city plan?
Without overextending its current infrastructure.
Well, just what you said about the last question about before, you know, taking in, annexing more, that would be stretching the infrastructure. If we try to take in as far out as Calhoun, that would be a massive stretching of infrastructure.
Thank you. Mrs. Mitchell, as demand grows, larger users, how does the city plan without overextending infrastructure?
Well, sure, that's exactly what we do. When we work on a project now, we go ahead and build in extra capacity in those projects because we can see what's coming. That's part of forecasting. That's part of planning. That's part of doing good business and being smart about things, planning for future growth. So we add capacity within projects so that we can handle, you know, additional growth. That's what we want to see here in our community.
Thank you. We'll pause right here for a quick break. A reminder, you're watching the Meet the Candidates Forum. We're live in West Monroe tonight at the Edgewood Facility. We'll be right back with more Meet the Candidates. Welcome back to the Meet the Candidates Forum. I'm Cory, Crowe, News Director at KEDM Public Radio. We're the public radio station at the University of Louisiana Monroe. And today we're with the candidates for Mayor of West Monroe. Now don't forget, early voting begins May 2nd through the 9th. If you're in West Monroe and you're watching, you can vote at the West Monroe Senior Center. Now if you're not in West Monroe, check govote.org. That'll tell you where and when to vote and tell you what is on your ballot if you're not from West Monroe. All right, time to get back to our questions this evening with our candidates. And the next question goes to Stacey Albritton Mitchell. What is the biggest challenge that West Monroe is facing right now?
Well, money is always an issue. City of West Monroe, we operate our budget 70% sales tax, and we only get 2.99% of the sales tax that we all pay. So revenue funding for that is always a challenge. But because we have been good fiscally responsible with our funds, because we've saved money intentionally to match with grants, we have been able to do more with what we have. We've done over $54 million worth of projects that directly benefit people. We have $15 million or so happening this year. We have another $30 million in the next few years. So, it's really, there's never enough money. Everybody always wants more. And so we're always working to leverage and use money efficiently and effectively.
Thank you. We'll move next to Mr. Don Nance. And, sir, the biggest challenge that West Monroe is facing?
Clearly, it's money. It's the huge debt that we have. Financial responsibility does not end up with huge debt. I believe my lifestyle and my businesses having no debt on my home, that would clearly show my responsibility with finances. Now, this year, we paid $2.2 million against that debt. That means we couldn't spend that on roads. We couldn't spend that on clean water. We couldn't spend that on the needs of the police and fire department. That money's gone, and guess what? We still have more debt. That debt goes until 2042. That is not financial responsibility.
Thank you, sir. We'll go back to you, Mr. Nance, for this one first. If you had a magic wand and you could wave it and attract a business, what business or what type of business is missing in West Monroe that you think West Monroe needs?
Well, I think it would definitely be shopping, Costco, Bass Pro Shop. I know, back in the day, Mayor Norris attempted to get those type of places. But, when me and my family buy, clothes and shoes and such things, we go to Shreveport, we go to Dallas. We definitely need some businesses that would involve shopping, and that, is what I would say. I would make a long-term lease for that property on the interstate, bring in private investment. It would be easy on them. They wouldn't have to spend millions of dollars on property. It would be a win-win. They would build the businesses, and we would reap the sales tax benefits from it.
Thank you. And Stacy Albritton Mitchell, if we had the business wand and we could just wave it, what type of business or what type of business sector is missing in West Monroe, and what would you want here?
Well, I would want to invest and see more industry and manufacturing type jobs, because those are good paying jobs. And retail type businesses go where people have the finances to be able to go shop and enjoy those businesses. Also, retail businesses, big businesses, they look at community. They know our demographics. They know our spending habits. They know what they have to be profitable. So if we have good paying jobs here in West Monroe, if we have people with higher incomes, making that with those good paying jobs through industry and manufacturing, the business is going to come. I mean, that's just basic economics.
All right, we'll come back to you, Mrs. Mitchell. Want to know a little more about you.
Okay.
What are your core values?
Oh, I have a lot. My core values are treat people the way that you want to be treated. I take my faith very seriously. My grandmother, my parents instilled that in me, and that is something that I truly believe. You treat people with respect, you treat them with dignity, and you do everything you can to help serve and be someone's friend. You never know what someone's going through, what their situation is. You listen, you try to be, you be compassionate, you try to help, and you do everything. You show them the love of Jesus through how you respect and act with someone. I believe in working hard. I told you I grew up in a small business. I have worked since I was 10 years old, and I will continue to work as hard as I do every day. I mean, my opponent says I'm a career politician, but I did 27 years in private business before being elected mayor. So I'm very proud of my work ethic. I'm very proud of my faith and how I respect and treat people.
Thank you. And Mr. Nance, sir, your core values?
Most definitely, I love the Lord. I've been in the service as a missionary. I left this country to live in a third world country for 9 years, to love on children, to serve them, to teach them the gospel of the good news. I believe in treating people with love, kindness, and respect. I believe in answering their calls and returning their calls. I believe in showing up when they're in the hospital, when they need someone to visit them. I believe in raising my children in the right way, my grandchildren in the right way, teaching them how to respect others, how to love others. And I just am grateful for the opportunity to work in the ministry, and I believe leading West Monroe will be an opportunity to serve and help a lot of people.
Thank you. Mr. Nance, we come back to you for this one. What are your thoughts on the crime situation in West Monroe? And is there anything you would do differently than we're doing now?
Well, that's a subject that would take a lot more than a minute to answer. You know, the jail, you know, I would like to say this. 8 years ago, I came to a forum right here. I sat right back there in the corner. Ms. Mitchell stated that she would involve all the citizens in the decisions that were made, yet she closed down the jail and did not talk to the marshal, the chief of police, or the judge at the time. She stated that money was the reason. Well, we saved about $700,000, but we spent $240,000 at Ouachita Correctional Center. And what happens now if an officer picks up someone, sometimes more than one, they have to take them out to 165. There's less officers on the job. Also, people are given summons instead of going to jail, and then about half of those people do not show up for summons, and that loses another large amount of money. And what kind of price can you put on your safety?
Thank you, sir. Mrs. Mitchell, current thoughts on crime and how you would address it?
Sure. Well, I'm going to start by addressing this jail issue. First of all, the police chief came to see me in 2019 and said we had an average of 7 inmates in the jail at all times. That was costing the taxpayers of West Monroe $850,000 a year. We can house 7 inmates at Ouachita Correctional Center for $250,000 or so a year. That is a savings, a direct savings to the taxpayers of West Monroe. Now, the marshal doesn't get a decision because the marshal doesn't fund the jail. The City of West Monroe taxpayers do. Now, as far as crime goes, City of West Monroe, we have worked hard to get our salaries up to competitive levels so that we can recruit and retain more officers. We have a new police chief. We have created the community police unit. We have invested in crime scene units and more. And now police and fire both have dedicated funding to give them the equipment they need.
Mrs. Mitchell, we'll come back to you. If there was only one priority you had to find in the West Monroe budget, only one thing you could get funded, what would that be?
God, well, there's a lot more needs than there is just one thing. So that's a lot bigger than just a brief statement. But we've funded our sewer, we've funded our drainage, we have water projects in water sector applications now. I would look for more and more street money. Again, we're doing streets. We've been proactive. We've created a preventative maintenance team within Public Works. We have invested in a crack sealing machine, asphalt zipper. You've seen Public Works out there using these pieces of equipment to better use your tax dollars, extend the life of our streets while we go look for grant funding. And we're not going to just spend $4 million on 4 miles of streets when we have 89 miles of streets in the city. We're going to leverage that money. We're going to look for grants, look for other partnerships that we can have so that we can do more with taxpayer money.
I'll ask the question to Mr. Nance. If there was one thing you could fund in the budget, what would that thing be?
I think most definitely it would be our safety, the safety of our citizens. Right now, I have friends. I was a Spanish translator for the police department. I have many veteran officers that have left the Department of West Monroe, went to work for Ouachita Parish, they went to work for the state, they went to work for Monroe. Why? Because they did not make enough money and their insurance was not good. And if you're going to have safety in a city, you're going to have to take care of the people that provide the city. We are asking men and women at the police and fire department to risk their lives to take care of us, and yet they cannot afford health insurance for their family. I think this is an embarrassment for our city.
Thank you, sir. We'll come back to you for this one. Sometimes it feels like every lawmaker, every district, every division has their own little kingdoms. But I want to ask you, what would be some regional projects throughout North Louisiana that you would support if you were elected mayor?
Well, I do believe, if you look at any studies about West Monroe, they tend to take a little dive because of the area of Balcomville. It looks like we have worse crime. It looks like we have worse poverty. And, I believe that there's a lot of good people in that area that need help. And that is a regional area that I would like to see improved. Go in there and make a concerted effort with the parish, to help with crime, help with cleanup, and it would bring West Monroe's statistics up. When you're trying to get businesses or people to move into West Monroe, a high crime rate and a high poverty rate does not help. And so I believe that area would be a great opportunity.
Thank you, Mr. Nance. Mrs. Mitchell, sometimes it feels like everybody's got their own little kingdoms, but what are some regional projects you would support as mayor?
Well, we already support regional projects because even though we may be individual municipalities, we are one regional economy. We are part of Grow NELA. That is our regional economic development organization. We invest in that. We work with the Ouachita Parish Police Jury, with the City of Monroe, with other municipalities and parishes in our region, to see development. Because what comes anywhere in our region, we're going to benefit from. We're all going to benefit from that. As far as crime goes and police, the City of West Monroe already has 2 officers as part of Metro. That is a regional organization against crime, and we participate in that. I'm also part of the Sparta Aquifer Water Commission. That's regional water. 18 parishes in North Louisiana get their water from the Sparta, and I participate in that to ensure that we have clean water.
All right, thank you. And one more here before we get to our break, and it goes to you, Mrs. Mitchell. How do you ensure police and fire services remain strong while also addressing infrastructure needs?
Well, it's obvious how important public safety is to our city. And that is why 40% of the city's budget is dedicated to police and fire. That is where 40% of our budget goes to our operating funds. That's also why I've worked with both chiefs to get their salaries up to a competitive level so that they can be competitive, they can recruit new officers, they can retain their officers. That's why I worked with both departments and then with Chief Terrell to form the community police unit. That's why when fire and police came to the city council and asked for dedicated funding for capital improvements, we agreed to put that on the ballot and let the voters decide. And thanks to you, the voters, the police and fire departments now have protected funding for their capital needs. Fire department has a new fire truck, the police department has body cams, but what's more important is they have that protected funding to make sure that they have the equipment to better serve our citizens and themselves.
Thank you. Mr. Nance, how do you ensure police and fire services remain strong while also addressing infrastructure needs?
One thing I would like to bring up, during COVID, there was money for essential workers, for policemen and firemen. And Ouachita Parish Sheriff's Office, those deputies got that money. Monroe officers got that money. State police got that money. Our West Monroe firemen and policemen did not get that money. I still hear that from police and fire today. One thing we have to do is back these men and women in their departments. We have to support them, encourage them. Like I said, I work with the West Monroe Police Department. There has to be a budget for police and fire and also infrastructure.
Thank you, sir. We'll take another quick break right here. When we come back, we dig into disasters. Right after this is the Meet the Candidates Forum, live in West Monroe. And welcome back to our Meet the Candidates Forum. I'm Cory Crowe. We're live in West Monroe, Louisiana. Tonight's forum is brought to you by the West Monroe Ouachita Chamber of Commerce, 90.3 KEDM Public Radio, and KTVE KARD. At this time, I'd like to introduce Candace Tingle, Corporate Support Representative for 90.3 KEDM.
Thank everyone. Gosh, what a good-looking audience we've had tonight. Thank you all for coming out and showing your local support to your community. I want to remind everyone that early voting is May 2nd through the 9th at West Monroe Senior Center. Election Day, May 16th, and also go to govote.com for your ballot info. Thanks again for coming out tonight, guys. We appreciate you.
Thank you, Candace. We appreciate you, your hard work today. Good job pulling this together. And the team. Good job, team. Way to go. We've had a busy week this week. Let's get back to the questions again. And when we left off with Mr. Nance. So the next question now will come back to Mrs. Mitchell. Looking ahead, 10 or 15 years, what's your vision for West Monroe?
You know, my vision is to see a vibrant, prosperous community, to see our infrastructure in good shape because we're saving and we're intentionally saving and investing in our infrastructure. Our police and our fire, they're well funded. I'm looking forward to seeing them just continue to do good and protect our citizens. Our fire department, the same thing. They're doing so good. The new chief is recruiting and doing great things with the fire department. I look forward to this community. The community participation has been just unbelievable, and looking forward to that continuing because that's what makes a community successful. It's all of you. It's participating, being part of the solutions, coming together, coming to city council meetings, not just sitting back and being a spectator. So that's where I hope to see West Monroe.
Thank you. We'll move to Mr. Nance. 10 or 15 years down the road, what's your vision for West Monroe?
I would love to see a West Monroe where our children and our grandchildren can continue to live here and find successful work. I would like to see a West Monroe by then that doesn't have any debt. I would love to see nicely paved streets. We can look to Monroe on one side, we can look at Ruston on the other side, and I think the key to getting there is private investment. We cannot go out on a limb and borrow millions and millions, tens of millions of dollars and go into debt, building a business with taxpayers' money. We need private investors. It's succeeding in Monroe, it's succeeding in Ruston, and we can do the same.
Thank you. We'll move back to you, Mr. Nance, and told you we'd talk a little bit about disasters. What investments are needed to better prepare the city of West Monroe for severe weather events or things like the ice storm we just experienced?
I work for the Public Works Department in sanitation, cleaning up. I cleaned up after a hurricane, a flood, 2 tornadoes. What we need is good equipment, and we need the manpower to do it. The Public Works Department has been cut in half, and we must restore it to a full capacity we've seen during this storm. There is a way to do this more efficiently. If we had enough tow truck drivers, we could have picked up 20 loads per knuckle boom. I've done it before. I have been on the front lines of cleaning up this city in good times, in bad times, in storms, and we need equipment and manpower.
Thank you. Mrs. Mitchell, the investments needed to better prepare West Monroe for severe weather events or things like the ice storm we just saw.
Sure. Well, the city of West Monroe actually did very well during the ice storm. Our public works departments, they planned, they prepared, they stayed overnight. They were there at the public works department at the complex, ready to get out as soon as they could, as soon as it was safe to start clearing streets and debris. Internally, public works picked up debris. until we could know that we definitely had the Cat A FEMA designation that would allow us to get 75% reimbursement for all of the expenses. So to be good stewards of taxpayer money, that's what we did. We waited until we had that reimbursement guarantee. Within 2 days, we had a contract. In 34 days, that debris contract remover, the debris removal contractor was complete. We have closed at that account. That's being smart with taxpayer money. And the City Public Works, they are not at 50%. They are still our largest department. They are fully staffed and doing really good work.
We'll pause right here with our questions. When we come back, time for closing statements. I'm Cory Crowe. You're watching the Meet the Candidates Forum, and you're listening on 90.3 KEDM Public Radio. We'll be right back with closing statements. And welcome back to the KEDM Meet the Candidates Forum. We're live in West Monroe, Louisiana. And unfortunately, we could talk to you both all night long. And we got pages and pages more questions, but we're out of time. So we'll get to closing statements this evening. Earlier tonight, we drew for who would have the first closing statement. First closing statement this evening is Stacey Albritton Mitchell, and ma'am, we'll give you 2 minutes for a closing statement.
Good, thank you. I want to say thank you again for everyone for being here. Y'all, it's a joy to serve the city of West Monroe and be your mayor. Things are good in West Monroe. Don't let anybody tell you any different. You know, under my leadership, our city government works well together to serve our citizens. I mean, we're leveraging tax dollars. We're investing in our infrastructure and our community development projects. Our police and fire, they are well funded. The West Monroe Sports and Events Center, it is doing exactly what it was intended to do, serve as an economic driver and attract visitors from all over the United States to West Monroe. And because of this type of private investment, city residents and businesses pay the lowest property taxes in Ouachita Parish. Now, my opponent talks about municipal debt like it's a bad thing. But y'all, most prosperous, growing municipalities use municipal bonds to fund big capital projects. In fact, 50% of the debt that West Monroe has predates my administration. But it was done smart then, it was done smart now. With our AA, long-term AA bond rating, which is one of the highest that you can have in the state, we're able to finance projects with a lower interest rate at today's prices, leverage our tax dollars, and get more done. I mean, do you realize there's 10 commercial buildings, I told you earlier, under construction in the city of West Monroe? That's private investment. They're investing in West Monroe because they see the success, they see the growth, they see the potential. Y'all, I'm proud to get to serve every day, and I'm proud that we have done as much as we have done with what we have and been good stewards of your money. West Monroe has a clean audits, and we have a strong financial standing. I will continue to work hard every day for the citizens of West Monroe, just like I've done from day one, to make this a place that people and businesses want to be. Thank you. I am asking for your vote so that we can continue the success in West Monroe.
Thank you. That is Stacey Albritton Mitchell. And our final statement tonight goes to Mr. Don Nance. Sir, 2 minutes for your closing statement.
Listen, I will not sit here and deny that the mayor has not done good things in our city, and we can continue those good things. But she has put us in a hole with a huge debt and raised our taxes in every way she could. While me and you paid more taxes and the city went deeper in debt, at the same time the mayor gave herself a 16% raise. If I am elected, the very first thing I will do on day one is give that raise back to you, the people. I will put that money back into the budget. That's taxpayers' money. That's $13,500 a year, $54,000 over 4 years, put back into our city's budget. Those funds will be dedicated to what matters most, things like paving our streets and improving our water quality. This dream of mine to become mayor is not a selfish dream. I'm running because I want to see our priorities back on the people and what matters most to you, the people of West Monroe. I'm not running for a paycheck. I'm not running so I can sit on the second floor of City Hall and tell people what to do. I'm running to serve you, to listen to you, and to be hands-on fixing the problems you deal with every single day. This campaign is about restoring priorities, putting things that matter most to you, the people, first. It's about rebuilding your services at Public Works and restoring trust between you and City Hall, and putting you, the people, first and getting things done the right way. Let's take our city back. Thank you all for coming. Thank you for caring about our city, and may God bless you.
Thank you, sir. You've been watching the Meet the Candidates Forum, and candidates, thank you for putting yourself out there. Don't forget, ladies and gentlemen, Election Day is May 16th, early voting, May 2nd through the 9th. If you're in West Monroe in the city limits, you're going to be voting early at the West Monroe Senior Center. Thanks to our sponsors, 90.3 KEDM, the West Monroe West Ouachita Chamber, and KTVE. Have a great night, everybody.